Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin. I'm your host. It's Wednesday, January 31st, and I'm back with Mr. Jesse Schule and Mr. Sean Higgs, all three of us of gamblersworld.net, which is our sponsor site. We're talking more college basketball today. Just a friendly reminder, gamblersworld.net, like I alluded to, our sponsor site, not only us three, but 7 other great handicappers over at gamblersworld.net. And it's there where we guarantee our picks. What that simply means is if you do not win, you don't make a profit on any single game or multi-game daily package or any subscription plan of 30 days or fewer. We will credit back your account the exact amount that you paid for it. So there you have it. And hopefully the majority of times that's a moot point, but you do have that peace of mind in knowing that we do guarantee those picks, and that credit can be used anytime you wish on any handicapper you wish, if indeed that takes place. All right, Jesse, how are you, my man? You had a nice winner yesterday on the under on the show, unlike me and Sean that did not come through yesterday, but you did. And how are you?
I'm doing great, Ross. I just had a backyard barbecue, a couple nice steaks on the grill, and I did hit the majority of my plays yesterday, all my premiums for clients. I hit the play on the show. I did one show with another network that I didn't have a winner on, and wouldn't you know if that guy was all over Twitter going, he's a bum.
It comes with the territory, buddy, unfortunately.
You can bet on 9 or 10 games, but it's the one you lose that some of these guys are going to focus on. I'll take a 5-1 day, 5 or 4-0 with premiums any day because that pays for a lot of steaks in my backyard, and that's all I really care about.
And the EPL got underway yesterday, English Premier League, and Jesse scooped up 2 winners there. So he's very sharp in other areas beside mainstream sports in the United States. So keep an eye on that, folks. The NHL is on break, but he's a great EPL and soccer handicapper altogether. But your main focus on the EPL when it comes to soccer, Jesse, for the most part?
I would say yes, but part of the reason is because a lot of the sites only carry Premier League, and a lot of the sites don't carry the Spanish league. I mean, I follow soccer every league.
Yeah,
I follow the World Cup and the Euro and the and all the tournaments. It's just that there's not as much interest outside the EPL and outside the World Cup. So I usually focus on those ones.
There you go. Mr. Sean Higgs, how are you, my man?
Well, I had a couple losers yesterday, tough ones. I had VCU, nice, plus 4.5. That was a great second half by them, blowing a 20-point lead. You got to love that one. Nice underdog. I had the Cuse losing by a point. Adam, what happened there? Texas Tech was in it, and hey, let's mess that up with a minute to go. Hey, it is what it is. What am I going to do? I'll move on.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I went 1-3 yesterday. Been struggling in the month of January, been treading water the last 2 weeks. And as far as, I made a slight profit last week, but not by much. And it's only because my best bets won. So I would keep an eye on me. I'm due to break out after 5 straight winning months. The month of January hasn't been kind, but one thing that has been continually kind to me still is my college basketball totals, of which I went, I'm 53-28 now with my last 81 college basketball totals. Yesterday, I had Ball State and Bowling Green over 149, and the game fell at 153. So, again, keep an eye on me over at gamblersworld.net, and also keep an eye on Mr. Higgs and Mr. Jesse Schule coming off a red-hot 4-0 day yesterday. All right, let's get to our games today. We're going to be looking at Florida and Kentucky, St. John's and Xavier. And I'll be looking at Alabama and Georgia. But let's start with you, Jesse. Florida and Kentucky. Kentucky coming off a loss. Florida coming off an overtime win. And Kentucky right now is a 6-point home favorite. The total, depending on where you look, is 170.5, 171. I would almost want to say that Jesse, who likes the unders, he had an under yesterday that was in the 130s, but I'm not sure. I mean, on this one, you got two teams that like to play real fast. And what's your take here?
I mean, I would have liked to look at the over, Ross, but the number is just
Yeah.
pretty damn high, and I'm not going to mess with that number. It's too high for me. But you look at this; it's a bit of a rivalry game. Two SEC clubs. Kentucky won by just 2 points at Florida earlier in the year, and I know that's going to get a lot of people thinking revenge spot. Florida's getting 6 points here. No, not me. There's teams that I like on the road, or teams that I will be willing to back on the road. The Florida Gators are not one of them. They've lost 3 of their 4 road games this year. They were 4-7 on the road last year. I just think Kentucky is the far superior team here. I'm not expecting any revenge. Some might think this is similar to yesterday's game when I talked about South Carolina and Tennessee, and I liked the dog. Well, South Carolina was getting 14.5 points at Tennessee. And the reason I liked South Carolina as the dog, or mentioned that, I would lean toward the dog, is their ability to play defense and slow the pace of the game. Well, Florida is the absolute antithesis of that. They rank dead last in the SEC in opponent scoring. They have really their ability to play defense is certainly limited, and Kentucky ranking second in the SEC in scoring, 88 points per game, more talent, better athletes, home court, no revenge here. I'm taking Kentucky to win by double digits.
All right, the Kentucky Wildcats to bounce back off a loss and cover the 6 points they're laying at home against the Florida Gators. Sean, your take on that game?
Well, listen, same thing Jesse said here. Yesterday you had a Tennessee spot, and I was like, why not lay 20 with Tennessee? They've owned them. They had won, 9-10 and winning by 20-some points a game? Yeah. How's this a revenge spot for the Gators? They've lost 9-10 to Kentucky. You could hope in one, they're due to win. Yeah, they should get it done. Well, hope in one hand, poop in the other, folks, and see what happens. The team owns you and beating you 9 out of 10 times and has done it convincingly. I'm not hoping that's going to happen and you're going to get things right here. I think Kentucky's a better team. I think Kentucky's a Final 8, Final 4 type club for me personally. Again, that doesn't mean nothing right now, but that's
they're young.
Talent.
They're young,
But they get better as the season goes on.
Yeah,
with that's how Kentucky is lately. So, I'd lay with. I agree with Jesse. Let's lay it here with Kentucky.
Kentucky minus the 6 at home against Florida. That's what these two gentlemen say. I don't have a strong opinion on the game, but if I had a small lean, it certainly would be with Kentucky. Yeah, and Kentucky had been without 2 of their big men early on. And like you said, I mean, Calipari, he gets these great recruiting classes and uses a lot of freshmen. And, as the season progresses, the history there is Kentucky gets stronger as the season goes on. And it looks to have that type of feel right now for the Kentucky Wildcats. All right, Sean. Xavier in St. John's. The game will be played at Cincinnati at the home of the Xavier Musketeers. By the way, Jesse used a big word, an antithesis. So for those of you out there that aren't sharp with the English dictionary, that means the opposite. So, all right, Sean. So Xavier right now is a 1.5 point favorite at home against St. John's. Xavier might be the best, I don't know, they're 500 club in the nation right now. St. John's seems to be responding to Rick Pitino. And what do you got here for us?
Yeah, so, St. John's beat these guys 81-66 back in December. They're coming off a big 20-point win over Villanova, a week off. But you got Xavier looming off a 50-point loss to UConn. Now, only way to do for me here is Xavier first half. That's it. It's a pick. If you can't respond after getting trounced by 50 points, I don't know what to say to you. On the flip side of that, I mean, you think Xavier is a talented 10. I don't think they're a talented 10-10 team. I think they're a pick 'em here or 1, whatever it is, because you lose by 50. And I had bad games yesterday. I had Villanova in a spot like this. I had K-State like a not a good team laying a short number. And, sometimes, as much as I like them sometimes I don't. I'll go a first half here with Xavier, but I don't know. I don't. They're 10-10 for a reason. First half, show some heart, Xavier. I'm not overthinking this kind of game. I like St. John's for the game, yes, but if Let's see what Xavier is. You lose by 50. Can you win a half? I don't know. I don't know if they can.
Yeah, Xavier as a pick 'em in the first half over St. John's for Mr. Higgs makes a good point. Xavier coming off a blowout loss, playing on their home floor. Up until this year, traditionally was a very strong home floor. And, they've played some good games this year, Xavier, and then they play like they did in the previous game. A lot of inconsistency there, Jesse. And St. John's right now, like I said, they seem to be gelling more and more as the season moves on with Rick Pitino. What's your take here?
Well, first off, I'm glad that you assigned this game to Sean and not myself, because this isn't high on my list of games to bet on today, to be honest with you. I tend to agree with Sean. I was pretty high on St. John's, of course, bringing in Rick Pitino, and Rick Pitino basically stealing all the goods from Iona and bringing in a bunch of seniors. And, you looked at their lineup preseason and I looked, oh, wow, these guys could make some noise. I was excited about that, but, they didn't really burn anything down early on in the year. I was fortunate. I was on them a few times. I know one game against North Texas, I had them on the money line. I somehow got a good price on the money line. They won by 1. And right after that game, I think I scratched my head and said, maybe I should lay off this team until they start to figure things out. And I'm not sure I'm there yet. So I'd have to say just a small lean on Xavier, just based on price, based on home court, and based on the fact that I haven't seen enough from Iona to want to take them in the role of
St. John's.
St. John's.
Yeah.
Iona Redmond.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
with the former Iona coach. Yeah.
It's the Red Storm, actually. So,
the Reds. Whatever.
Yeah. They got away from the Redmen, and they've been the Red Storm for quite a while now. But
I remember that. I remember weren't they called the St. John's Johnnies for a little bit too? They didn't know what to call themselves. Yeah.
I don't recall that, but
yeah.
I do. I know that they refer to them. If you say so, Sean, I'm not going to argue with you on that one. It's
I just St. John's my squad back in the day. Boo Harvey.
Yeah. Chris Mullen.
Boo Harvey back in the day.
Chris Mullen and Mark Jackson, and they've had some good ones there. St. John's, they broke a 3-game losing streak and beat Villanova by 20 at home in their last outing. They are 13-7.
Villanova these days, though.
Yeah, I had Villanova like Sean last night too. I just thought that was one of those trap plays, and they fell behind by 20. They came all the way back and took a small lead in the second half before losing by 5. Villanova's hard to figure out, Jesse. If you look, they beat 3 top 20 teams, and they're struggling when it comes down to it, especially in Big East play. Xavier is coming off 2 bad losses, 99-56 at Connecticut and 85-78 at Creighton. They did win their last 2 at home against Butler and Georgetown. This is a 10-10 team. In St. John's right now, you look at their schedule on the road. They lost their last 2 on the road. They're 1-3 in conference play on the road. Yeah, I would say if I had a small lean here, I would have a small lean toward Xavier on the money line as a play over St. John's. Again, Xavier 8-4 at home this year, which isn't great, especially when you consider how strong a home court they've had in recent years. So it would be a very small lean for me. But our official play here is on Xavier as a pick 'em in the first half over St. John's. All right, let me get to my game, and that's Alabama and Georgia. Right now, Alabama is a 5-point road favorite in this game. And, this is an Alabama team that started 6-5, but they played a brutal non-conference schedule. One of the strongest in the country. As a matter of fact, according to KenPom right now, Alabama has played the 7th strongest schedule in the nation. However, after that 6-5 start, they've rebounded nicely, going 8-1 in their last 9, including 6-1 in SEC play. They're also 2-1 in SEC away games. Again, in terms of accolades offensively, Alabama's right up there with the best of them in college basketball right now. Number 1 nationally in offensive efficiency, number 11 in three-point shooting at 38.2%, number 5 at the free throw line, 79.1%, and they average over somewhere around 22 or 23 free throw attempts per game. So it's not like they're doing that with 15 to 16 free throws a game. This is an Alabama team, and again, going back to their offensive explosiveness, they've scored 98 points in 8 of 28, 98 points or more, I should specify, in 8 of 20 games this season. Their last 5, they're averaging 86.8 points per game, all against SEC opponents, while Georgia, over their last 5, has allowed over 85 points, 49% shooting, and 38.3% from the free three-point line defensively. So they haven't been good defensively, and they're playing an offensive juggernaut. Despite both of these teams having identical 14-6 records, as I alluded to, Alabama's strength of schedule is what I alluded to, and Georgia is number 69 in that category. And even worse, number 183 non-conference portion of their schedule. So they built up a lot of wins and momentum in a non-conference part of their schedule. They're 10-1 at home, but their last 2 at home, they lost to Tennessee, and they barely squeaked by LSU by 2 points. And that's the same LSU team that Alabama hosted on Saturday, this past Saturday, and won 109-88. I don't like laying points on the road, guys. I really look for any reason to use the home underdog, and if I can't, I will tend to stay away from the game. But in this particular instance, I'm going to make an exception to the rule, and I'm going to take Alabama here and lay to 5 on the road at Georgia. Sean?
Well, let's see. Ohio State, Oregon, Clemson, Purdue, Creighton, Arizona. Not a bad non-conference. So you're gonna lose some games there. Nothing really to be ashamed of. You're playing good teams there, and you're not like getting crushed by 50 or something. And how about they beat Indiana State? If you want to think that's a cupcake, and they're 18-3. People like Indiana State, and they beat them by 22. But I'm with you. I understand like the way they've played. Georgia's a little over their head, but you know where I'm going to go. I'm going to take the little home dogs here. That's just the way I lean.
Yeah,
I like Alabama. They're a dangerous team. This could be a Sweet 16 team. I mean, they've got the resume. Even though there's some losses, you play the tough teams and you battle them. You're just a couple plays away from pulling out W's in 4-point losses. So I understand the sentiment to the Tide here.
Yeah, I mean, again, Jesse, one of the our subscribers in the comment section last week made a brilliant statement that you should take all home underdogs in college basketball. If it was that easy, we'd all be you all would be millionaires anyway, and we wouldn't have a job. But it's not that easy. But again, when you have a winning team like Georgia, overall record of 14-6, but they are 4-3 in the SEC. They've lost 3 of their last 5 in the SEC. I just think it's a heavy number. When I looked at this, it jumped right out at me because I thought Georgia, in my mind, Georgia's a solid SEC team. Whether they're at the top of the heap or a legitimate NCAA tournament team is yet to be determined. But what's your take here, Jess?
I will say that regarding these systems plays, I did mention yesterday, you mentioned, Ross, that somebody said just bet all home dog. But somebody on Twitter said yesterday that unranked teams as a favorite against ranked teams hitting 65% on the season. And the 2 examples of that system yesterday were Villanova and Kansas State. And I think that 65% has now gone down a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I mentioned that I'm not following these systems plays. I want to break down a game and go through all the criteria before I'm going to put my hard-earned money on just perhaps something as flimsy as just a trend. But
also, Jess, that thing is, if you're doing that, you have to do that from the get-go. You have to fade Michigan State right out of the gate. Like, you have to know that ahead of time coming in. It's like any kind of trend. People
Well,
thought the
I
trend
think
is-
you have. I think you have to have that in your head from
Yes.
day one on the
Well,
season as well.
so that's
Not
for me.
you can't
Because
wait
you
till-
read it on
because if you
Twitter
wait till it's
yesterday.
already hitting 65%, right? You've
Yes.
already missed out on all the good.
Yeah.
You start now,
Well,
you're screwed.
Jess, we say all the time. People are like, well, look at this. It's a 7-1-1 run. Well, did you have the other 9 games to be up 7-1-1, or are you starting at 0 and then all of a sudden you're 0-1 and you're, you see that trend? People are like, I got to get on this. It's an easy winner. Well, you missed the other
Yeah, I mean,
17 games.
The case I made for Villanova is they beat 3 top flight teams in the non-conference portion of their schedule. They also have a ton of bad losses too. But again, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, and you're right, Jesse and Sean. If you just read this on Twitter yesterday and decided to follow it now, you missed out on a lot of winners leading up to this point. But I contend I don't look at it like non-ranked versus rank. I look at it like think like an odds maker. Why is Villanova a short favorite at home against Marquette, who's a legitimate top 10 team and a national title contender in my estimation? So it didn't work yesterday, but just keep an eye. I'm going to stick to my guns when I see situations like that. There has to be more evidence of such too. Like Jesse said, it's just not you're looking at, well, we got a ranked team versus an unranked team, and the unranked team is favored. Where's the rest of your sheet? Like Jesse likes to say, it's like we're like prosecutors trying to make sure we have enough evidence to win the case before we go into it, and not just on hearsay kind of thing. So, good points, guys.
Back to Georgia Bama though, because I didn't give you my opinion.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
And you and Sean are split on the game, so I get to break the tie here. And I got good news for you, Ross, and bad news. The bad news is I'm against you. The good news is I got 6.5. So if it lands on 6, everybody wins. I just look at this Georgia team. They finished right near the bottom of the SEC last year. They were still 13-4 at home. They look better this year than they were last year.
Oh, absolutely.
I think their last game they were at Florida and they lost like a shootout by 4 points, 102
over 102-98 in overtime. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, they can. You mentioned Alabama's an offensive juggernaut. The evidence I've seen, Georgia can hang with offensive juggernauts. Bama on the road, 2-2. They lost. They got blown out by Tennessee, I believe. And one of their wins, they win by 3 points on the road at Vanderbilt.
But that was off a big win. Let's be fair. Anyway, go ahead.
The last game they played at Georgia, they lost outright. You look at the head-to-heads, Georgia has been competitive against this Alabama team at home. The way Georgia's playing, 6.5. I mean, 5, I probably wouldn't have touched it at 5, to be honest with you, Ross. But 6, there's a big difference between 6.5 and 5 to me, and 6.5 just looked pretty juicy. I wanted to take those points. And I did put out a video that is published at gamblersworld.net, so you guys can check out all the goods right there.
Yeah, gamblersworld.com, that video is on. Gamblersworld.net is our pick site. If you go to gamblersworld.com, that's our video portion of the site. Jesse and Sean both do their own podcasts on a day. Well, Jesse does a 5-minute video or so every day, folks. You want to check that out. Also at his YouTube page. And Sean does his Midday Money Show every day. And you can find that over at picksandparleys.net.
Nope, not on that channel anymore.
No, not on that channel?
Nah, you get on. It's on Winner Free Picks or the Sean Higgs YouTube.
Okay. All right. So there you have it, folks. Again, for some additional, if you're interested in watching these types of videos and gaining a lot of knowledge, there's 3 options for you. But most of all, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so, especially if you're a sports bettor, you enjoy sports betting talk, or you're a sports fan in general. We bring it 5 times a week now, Monday through Friday. And all you need to do is hit that black subscribe button right underneath your video box, and that will get you subscribed absolutely free. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. If you're on your PC, you'll see that WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner. That will serve the same purpose by hitting that. And if you have subscribed already, we appreciate each and every one of you. If you're new and you just subscribed, take an extra second or so, folks, and go into your YouTube settings and click on the alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon any of our podcasts being published right here 5 times a week on the channel, so you don't have to keep coming back and forth, because we only do one live show. It's on a Friday. Our Monday through Thursday is a pre-recorded show, but I could tell you that the majority of the time, our shows will be up by noon Eastern time on our pre-records. Anyway, guys, great job today. Jesse, tell the folks there's a like button. What you want to do with that like button?
Smash that like button.
An emphatic smash the like button. A little more emphatic than normal, too. Coming off that 4-0 day, he's roaring. And anyway, smash that like button, hit that like button, touch that like button. It's just a small token of your appreciation for all the work, time, and effort we put into bringing you a quality podcast each and every day. And most of all, it's always been our theme. It will continue to be our theme going forward. We want to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. These guys will be back with me on the live show on Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Mark that down in your calendar. I will be back tomorrow with Mr. Doug Upstone, and we'll be talking college basketball at that moment in time as well. Until the next time, for Sean, Jesse, and Ross, take care and God bless, folks.